Greetings, everyone. This is the start of course, something great. This is the start of Don's Comic Domain. I'm your host, Donovan. You might know me from other YouTube channels like Dynamite and Don's podcast, Movie Blaze, and The Discussions. And speaking of that, I am with a special guest today, being David of The Discussions. How are you?
I am doing wonderful. Thank you so much for having me on your first live stream ever.
Thanks for showing up for
Absolutely.
this. Today, what is this? Now, you probably wonder what is this going to be about? What is Dawn's Comic Domain? Essentially, this is a comic review channel where I will be going about various comic books, whether it's Marvel, DC, outside of the big two like Image Comics, anything you want, you name it. I might do a review on it, give or take if I have the book or if I have the resources available to find said book. And speaking of books, the judging by our profile pictures, you can guess what we're already going to do. Today we're going to be reading up and doing a review, possibly a this will actually be part one of a review of both the Infinity Gauntlet storyline and the World's Finest from was it
2022.
2022. We decided to go with these because we just genuinely like these type of stories. Actually, how do you feel about it? What made you want to basically review or read the World's Finest?
Well, simply put, I like Batman and Superman together. And so I've been eyeing World's Finest in general for a while. But then when I saw a particular my profile picture right here, there's a comic panel with Batman and Superman mixed together. I was like, oh, what's this? So I looked at it, and it is from a run where they fight. I won't spoil it, but there was a panel where they were combined into one being, and I was like, oh, that's so cool. It's one of my favorite things ever. So I decided, well, I'll just read this, and also because there's a cool comic of it I'm getting from eBay. I'm gonna put it on my wall somewhere. But so I was like, well, I'll just read it since so I'll know what it's about.
Nice. And interestingly enough, that's also kind of why I chose Infinity Gauntlet. Number one, of course, the big one, Infinity War, the film, where it's based off of. But I kind of want to go towards Gauntlet more because just like every book that's adapted into film, nothing's ever concrete or 100%. But I figured go into that because that's genuinely one of my favorite storylines of all time in Marvel, next to another storyline that I will hopefully review in the future, Avengers versus X-Men, which I cannot wait to tackle that. I've had the book since last year, and I've been needing to read it since. But this was originally supposed to be a compare and contrast of Infinity War and Infinity Gauntlet, the book versus the film, to see what's different, how they compare and stuff. And I will probably go into that tonight, even though I really haven't watched Infinity War yet. But if you want to see a video of that in the future, let me know in the comments down below. Also, before we get started, in the comments, whether it's here or anywhere else, what comics do you also want me to read, or you want David to read, or anyone to read, pretty much, so I can go and review them later and give my own thoughts and opinion on it.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah. Also, just to branch out to other comics, whether it's Marvel or DC or anything else entirely. But with that being said, which one would you want to go first on?
Well, since I haven't officially finished the storyline that they're doing right now, I guess I can go ahead and tell you what I think so far. So, so basically, this is I forgot the exact title, but I think it's called. Okay, I think I got it right here. The Devil Nezha. I think that's how you pronounce it.
Okay.
So the premise around it is at the beginning, Poison Ivy and Metallo. I think that's the right name. The one who could absorb Justice League powers.
I believe that's a Mazo, but it could be
Amazing.
Metallo.
Either one of those guys, and Superman and Batman and Robin show up to help. And we'll stop the villains. Eventually, Red Kryptonite is brought up, and the villain puts it. I think stabs Superman with it, and it makes him hallucinate and just go on a rampage, pretty much. So, eventually, they get the help of the. I think this is the point where they team up with the Doom Patrol, and they calm him down. They bring him back to the headquarters, do some surgery on him, fix him up. So they're figuring out what was that, and the reason there's while they were fighting Poison Ivy and I'll just say Amazo. I think it's Amazo. They find out. Well, they see that their eyes are like glowing red. It seems like they're under control, and it's happening to other villains as well. Not just villains, but later, even their own heroes. So it's this villain who's, I forget his name, but it's kind of a devil figure or a demon. So the backstory is that there was back a long time ago, there was these brutal warriors, and there was a father and a son, and his son died in battle, and the father was distraught. So for a long time, for years and years, he tried to bring him back. And he eventually did by the help of a magical being who he worked for a while. And he brought his son back. And the son basically is like, you brought me back to life. You're weak. So he kills him. So it's kind of like, oh, okay.
Well,
that's
so much for wanting to be the nice son here.
Yeah. Well, he was, I guess the father grew as a person, I guess. I don't know. But he eventually, there's a sword involved too. I think it's his sword. But he eventually becomes that demon villain who's taking over people. So there's Batman and Robin, Superman, the Doom Patrol, and they enlist the help of Supergirl. So she comes as well. So Supergirl and Robin team up, and they're at each other's throats. They don't really like each other. But they go back in time with the sword. So there's time travel involved. And at that point, I was kind of like, it's a bit, why'd you have to do that? It feels like they're bringing up high stakes every other moment. Comics do this all the time. I wish they didn't do that all the time, you know?
Yeah.
It's kind of like what the MCU is doing. But anyway.
It's kind of like what this comic's doing that I'm reading yet then again.
Yeah.
Well, then again, there actually is high stakes involved.
Yeah. At least that's like a big event. This one's kind of like no one talks about.
Yeah.
So, except for the big reveal of the cool fusion, but they eventually go back in time to find these 4 warriors who are like airbenders, or they're like the Avatar airbenders. And so they have been fighting this demon, trying to imprison him. And basically, you know, they had a heart. They couldn't do it. They couldn't do it. So, eventually, Doom Patrol goes somewhere, try to figure out what's going on in another place, trying to, you know, connect dots. Superman and Batman eventually run into a magical villain. I forgot his name. I got it right here. Looking up comics and seeing which one is the right villain. Faust, I think. Faust.
I think it's Faust.
Yeah, so Faust is in his. He's been controlled, and by this demon guy, and Billy Batson's there, and he's still a child, so he can't turn into Shazam. Then Green Lantern shows up, and he's controlled. So all the heroes are controlled as well. And then Batman and Superman use their willpower together to get the ring from Green Lantern and become the fusion you see before you. And then they fight him for like 1 minute, and that's it. So, and then other stuff happens, but so far that's what I've gotten to. And it's fine. like the writing is kind of like it's MCU writing, it's MCU humor, honestly, and we all know how that goes. I mean, to an extent, it used to be good back then, but anyway, it's not really high stakes. They're kind of treating it like it's kind of a everyday situation. I mean, to be fair, it is if you're a superhero, but like, come on, you gotta like stop. Please shut up. And
Yeah.
Especially Batman. Batman feels really weird in this one. He feels a little jokey himself, and he smiles at one point because he thought Superman came back to life, and he was worried he was gonna die. So, fair enough. You guys are buddies, but it's just weird. It's a little annoying. It's a little weird. It's not the best thing I've read. I only read it, to be honest. I only read it just for this for the iconic panel.
Yeah.
But that's pretty much it. And I wouldn't. There's moments. I guess it works for comics, but I'm such a movie person more than a comic person, and I do love comics, but I'm more of a movie person. That exposition. I don't know if exposition works differently in comics, but
Right.
everyone kind of takes their turns to explain the plot or to explain the backstory of things. And it's just kind of like, this is kind of like contrived, I guess.
Yeah, I kind of see what you mean because it normally when I read comics, I don't know how it is in this one because I am also halfway through it. When it comes to like the rest of the books that I have read, it's like, hey, so and so does A, B, and C. Then the second character says A, B, and C. Then the third character says A, B, and C.
Yes.
Just to further the plot along. And it's just like, you could do this while simultaneously doing something else instead of just pointless exposition after pointless exposition after pointless exposition. And that's a problem I also have with certain movies as well, whether it's superhero related or not.
But mainly superhero related for me. It's like that scene in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness where they're explaining what their universe, their Steven from their universe did wrong, and they all took their turns telling what happened.
When as you could just show what happened, even though they kind of did, didn't they?
Yeah, for a second at the end, but then they could have just had Professor X narrate it, and it would have been fine. Because we don't care who's reading it. We just want to see what the whole deal is, what the background is. We don't want to see who's reading it.
Right.
Trying to put humor into it. And it's, I think I have the panel right here. It's really funny when they bring it up. So
you can share your screen if you want to.
Yeah, I'm going to right here. So just to make sure no one knows where we're getting our comics from. But I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Oh, yeah, there's even a point where Batman and this other guy are like joking around and they're like outsmarting each other or like trying to be more, more intelligent one. So, so there's all that. You're familiar with the legend of Nezha, of course. Well, my team was able to separate legend from fact. Rita, Larry, Cliff, and those are the three names, and then they all take their turns talking about it. And that's literally what happens. And it's just like, why don't we have these people tell you? Go ahead, y'all. Take turns now. And it's just weird. I did not like it.
Yeah, I don't like it when comics do that as well. Like, I understand, like, it's not easy to try and, like, make, I guess, try and make, like, a whole flashback, like in a movie would.
Mm-hmm.
But you can at least have, like, a history buff or someone, just like one person narrating it, talking about it while it's happening in the panels, instead of just being like, oh, you get a turn, you get a turn, you get a turn, done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Minor gripe, but I don't like. This is not my favorite thing.
So far, the art style doesn't look too bad from it.
The art style I like. That was a good art style. Um, art style's good. I do like that Batman's blue and black.
Mm-hmm.
I always like it when it mainly just looks blue. But
I prefer the blue and black anyway.
yeah, but it also feels like what I said about Batman earlier and smiling. At other times, it feels like he doesn't keep his emotions in check as much. Maybe it's different with Superman, but I could be wrong. But it feels like Batman should be more blank faced, if that
Or
makes
at
sense.
least, yeah, I wouldn't
Under
say blank.
control.
Yeah, I wouldn't say blank face because like if that's the case, then he would just be like, meh.
Yeah.
It's just
Or at least
like
be concerned. Yeah.
take it more serious like he
Yeah.
normally does.
I can show you actually right here. So, for example, when you can see his expressions, like, look how
Yeah.
sad he is.
Mm,
Like, that was kind of,
Cal.
oh, come on. You got this. And then he smiles. I think that's fine, but it was the reaction before where it was just kind of like, okay, someone writing this is a softie. I don't know. This person writing needs a hug. Oh. I don't know. Some writers just like Frank Miller. It's like, boom.
Well,
You know.
overall, I know you're not finished with it,
Yeah,
but overall, how would you grade the comic so far?
it's a 5, I guess. Maybe a 4.5.
4.5?
It's not it's not my favorite, but I'll finish it. I know everything's gonna work out in the end. I feel like.
Yeah. Well, just like everything in DC, everything has a plan.
Yeah.
Well, I guess since that's the case, when it comes to well, I guess when it comes to the case of that, then that's really much to be less, not as much to be desired when it comes to a world's finest.
Yeah. I
Didn't
don't know.
I?
I don't know what the
Didn't
best kind of world's finest is to buy, but
I was gonna ask too. Did that? Don't they have more of
more
different versions?
series? Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so. They should. I just don't know where to start. There's the Public Enemies run, which I heard people say was bad, but I
Mm,
thought, like, I don't know. I want to try it out. I have it. I just need to actually read it.
right.
There's a lot of comics I have that I don't read, and I need to, so I can review those soon.
Oh, believe me, I, if there's anything that has anyone here that has a lot of comics that needs to be read,
Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
well, speaking of comics that have to be read, I just finished part 4. Still not finished, of course, but I have part 4 complete. As for the
Sorry, how many parts are there?
6.
Okay. Same with me, yeah.
So, when it comes down to Infinity Gauntlet, I kind of want to give a little backstory to this, if you don't mind.
Okay.
So, back when Infinity War had came out, everybody, of course, was hype, going ballistic. They loved the film. They loved the twist. They're shocked at the twist. People were spoiling the freaking twist
Yeah.
in schools.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I had no spoilers happen to me yet at the time, but I had wanted to read Infinity Gauntlet ever since I heard about it existing, because I knew Marvel was based. I knew the films were based off the comics, but I didn't really know what comics they were based off of.
Right.
I just figured they were just based off of it was just solo issues, or maybe they were just their own invention. Then I got to read an Infinity Gauntlet. I think I was in 11th or 12th grade, or whenever. I know it came out in 2018. I think it was 16 when it first came out.
Okay.
Anyways, I had watched the movie, and I thought it was great. Still one of the best of the MCU, hands down.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I wanted to read the original just to see what would be, the same, what would be different. And
Hmm.
to my surprise, I was very shocked at what they did in the beginning of the book. So, to kind of give you a more thorough review in a way, they start off in like the first book of Infinity Gauntlet with Thanos and Mephisto, because apparently Mephisto is apparently um he's the advisor to Thanos, so to
Oh,
speak, in
yeah.
this book. And while they're in the cosmos, they're on a planet, and Thanos is like giving like the big speech and all that sort of stuff, with the comic book panel of him just looking at the word God.
Oh, okay.
Just him looking at the word God
Wow.
on a planet made by rubble or whatever, which
Hmm.
was pretty sick. And it's kind of like I want I think it's number 3 in like several issues of like the entire storyline, because I know there's an Avengers versus Thanos and Silver Surfer versus him. There's a little bit of backstory involved, so to speak. Like they
Right.
do mention, oh, Adam Warlock had passed away before this. Silver Surfer had fought him recently.
Yeah.
I guess if you want a starting point, you could start with Avengers versus Thanos. But if you just want to jump into it, I would say feel free to jump into Infinity Gauntlet.
Yeah.
Besides, there's a lot more. It's good for its own story. Like it
Yeah.
just could be its own story and be done with it.
Yeah. Like Civil
But
War.
yeah.
Mm.
But anyways, there is a segment. You know how in Infinity War, Hulk it's two-pieced by Thanos, and then it gets sent down to Earth.
Yeah.
Instead, it's Silver Surfer in the book that does that. He,
Oh.
yeah, it's Silver Surfer who crashes through the Sanctum Sanctorum, warning Doctor Strange and Wong about Thanos. And
That's pretty
I thought that was pretty cool because in the film, of course, Thanos is a threat, but when you topple someone like Silver Surfer,
Yeah.
that makes you seem like a bit more of a serious threat to
Right.
want to engage and want to handle,
Yeah.
instead of just Hulk.
When he whimpers when he gets punched in the neck.
Yeah.
Mm.
Another thing about this too, where I love the Thanos in this comic. He's cool. He's a very diabolical guy. But the thing is, I like the MCU Thanos a bit more because in this run, Thanos is seen more as like a simp, or like
Yeah.
he's he's seen more like he wants the love so badly of Lady Death, and Lady Death doesn't even speak to him. She
Yeah.
just turns him away every chance that he gets, and no matter how hard he tries, by destroying multitude of things, doing the big spoiler, which I will review later on.
Yeah.
No, nothing he does in this whole run, Lady Death cares about. She just doesn't care.
Yeah.
Later on in the story, I believe Thanos makes his own girlfriend. Like he just creates his own lover. She
Hmm.
still doesn't care.
Oof. To make her to make her jealous.
I guess to make her jealous. And
Okay.
she just turns away and just walks off.
Good for you, buddy.
It's so bad to the point where he makes a physical shrine to her. Still nothing.
Uh
He made a shrine to her, presented Nebula, who Nebula in the comic is not like the one in the MCU. She is like a
no.
decaying looking mess.
Hmm.
She is like on the brink of death. Yeah, she's still there. And I'm just thinking to myself, good lord. Just put her out of her misery. They
Yeah.
don't. I believe she gets a hold of the gauntlet, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken.
Yeah, I think so.
I think in issue 5 she does. I can't remember, but she is like worse for wear in this.
Yeah.
They do a lot of cool, like, I do like the minor changes to like the stones they do in the book. And I mean, that's in the film as opposed to the book. Because the if you read in this, you will get very confused on the stones, comparing them to their MCU counterparts in terms of color. Because I know
Yeah.
the space stone is purple. The I'm assuming power stone is either pink or green. Hold on. Let me get this. Let me look at this.
I do want to see this too. Yeah.
The infinities. Hold on. Because I don't want to get it wrong.
Yeah. Right.
Of course, you give me the MCU ones.
Yeah. They're race swapping the color stones. This isn't good.
It's funny because the Infinity Stone's color has been changed every time.
Yeah. Like even in comics, it's still changed.
Even in I think the comics they changed it more
Wow.
because I think one of the stones was a different power, but it was consistently blue. Like the space gem was green at one point.
Ugh.
Yeah,
Yeah. I like my MCU Infinity Stones.
yeah. Meanwhile, in the book, if I can hold on. Meanwhile, in the book, the space stone is, of course, purple.
Mm-hmm.
The reality stone, I'm assuming, is the yellow one. Time stone is red. Mind stone blue. Soul stone green. And power stone pink.
And in the MCU, Space Stone is blue, Power Stone's purple, Reality's
Reality is
red,
red.
the Mind Stone's yellow because it's in Vision's head.
And
Time
soul
Stone,
stone.
Soul Stone is orange, and then the Time Stone is green.
Yeah. I don't know why they change them up every time, but they do.
True.
But that is, I guess that's neither here or there.
Oh
whatever,
yeah, well then where is it?
whatever. I can't find it actually.
Okay.
I actually can't find it for some reason.
I guess we'll never know.
I guess not. Anyway,
Anyway.
anyway,
Yeah. Yeah.
he has all the stones from Jump.
Mhm.
He has all
Oh,
the stones already there. I'm guessing
okay,
he.
yeah.
I'm guessing in the first few comics, he had already fought for them,
Okay.
but
Yeah. Um
they they pretty much, yeah, Silver Surfer goes on, treats him like a god. Is like he has all the powers of this, that, and the third. Space, reality, time. He's a nihilist and all that. And
mhm.
we get to see things in the book like Thanos just like clapping the Silver Surfer, Drax the Destroyer, just taking them out with ease, pretty much.
Right.
And with the use of the Soul Stone, Drax and the Silver Surfer actually encounter Adam Warlock in the Soul Plane,
Okay.
which is cool. It's a
Mhm.
nice prelude there. So they go to Lady Death, Mephisto, and Thanos. And Thanos is like, I did everything you wanted me to do. I've returned. Please grant me the love I so desperately simp for you for. And she's just not having it. She's
Yeah.
not having it whatsoever. She doesn't, in the book, she doesn't seem mad, but I just take it like body language wise, she's mad or disappointed in Thanos throughout the whole book.
Right.
As they go on, he then resurrects the entire monument to Lady Death. And let's see the Lady Death monument. It's number one, it's pretty cool looking, but good lord, where can I find this book? This is terrible.
What are you looking for? Are you looking for the comic?
The
Like
Lady Death comic thing.
That's a good question. Hang on. Were you looking on like images like Google?
I was just looking on Google.
Yeah.
Found it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I found it. So, here. There's this.
Oh, that is a cool monument.
It's cool, but he does all of this just for the love and embrace of Lady Death, and it doesn't work out for her at all.
Just move on, dude.
She clearly did.
She did.
she did.
She never even moved. She just like yeah.
Then they present Nebula, the decaying corpse that she is.
Mm-hmm.
Good lord. And then here's the grand thing that they do.
Yeah.
Now, in the movie, we know the snap. We know it happens at the end. We know what happens. Like the tragedy that it's involved. They, in the middle of the book, the middle of the first issue, do the iconic Thanos snap. And when I read that, I'm like, wow. They no punches pulled on this. They really out here doing it.
Yeah.
And that shook me as a 16-year-old because I knew in the film that it's at the end of the movie. There's no way he's going to do it. He snaps his fingers that fast. Goes to show that this is a threat that's not to be trifled with. Then we open up with Spider-Man in New York as he gets the spider sense, and he starts to see everyone disappear. And as they start disappearing, the Avengers start disappearing. Everyone around Hulk starts disappearing. The Skrulls and the Kree are like, we're at war now because we don't know what's going on. And everybody's frantic. And Silver Surfer is like, it's Thanos. He can feel all the presence of everybody just disappearing one by one. I think even Cersei and Hawkeye even disappear right in front of Captain America in this.
Okay.
So it's really bad. Another thing I noticed in this book too, there are some Titans that exist outside of Thanos. And the fact that in the book, Titan is still around. It's not a dead planet as opposed to the film.
Right.
But that's issue 1.
So that's all issue 1?
That was issue 1.
Wow.
Yeah. So, TLDR, Simp Thanos wishes the love of Lady Death, so he snaps big fingers.
He snaps big fingers.
So, we open up with issue 2, where everyone started up with cosmic entities like Captain Marvel and Quasar and the other Kree. They're looking around. They're like, oh, what just happened? They're searching the known the galaxy or so, trying to find him. Adam Warlock reaches out to Doctor Strange. Doctor Doom gets involved because he's like, oh, so there's a power that I don't have, yet it's destroying, that it's getting rid of half of humanity. I want it.
I
want it like yesterday.
Yeah. That's actually really cool.
Yeah, the cool part is too, Doctor Doom, I believe, is the only villain that actually works with the whole team that Adam Warlock assembles.
Yeah.
So there's Eros, which is a Titan. He gets his mouth just like eliminated, pretty much Black Bolt style.
Oof.
Because he tries to use powers on Thanos while they're still at the Lady Death Shrine. And what's interesting to note as we go along through like the Avengers scouting through to see how many heroes lived and died, there's a lot that don't make it, but there's one consistent factor. Black Panther gets dusted in the book and in the movie.
Oh.
He's actually number 4 on the roster.
Oh boy.
You have street level heroes, you have some X-Men, You have some Alpha Flight members. You even have guys like U.S. Agent disappeared. Even the entire Fantastic Four is gone. So there's that X Factor and so on and so forth. It's so bad to like the point where Odin even gets his own team of gods like Zeus, Osiris, Nanato, Nuunda. He gets a lot of gods from like a various assortment um of mythologies.
Mm-hmm.
But that happens. They're gearing up. Doctor Doom just comes out of nowhere to the Sanctum Sanctorum and is like, I am going to be part of this
Yeah.
because I want this gauntlet. He doesn't say openly that he needs the gauntlet or he
Yeah.
wants it, but he's like, but you can tell his intentions are true, and he's about to like eradicate Silver. He like blasts Silver Surfer and is like ready to hit Doctor Strange point blank, but that's until Adam Warlock shows up, and then the whole like group between Warlock, Surfer, Strange, and Doom, they discuss the plan. They go through it all, and like it's a pretty cool it's a pretty cool thing that happens between a dynamic that happens between them.
Right.
Suddenly earthquakes start happening, seismic shifts. The western part of I think the whole west coast of the US gets destroyed.
Mm.
West Coast, Japan's destroyed. Heroes just going back and forth trying to save one another. And that's issue 2. It's what I like about this in terms of the first 2 issues off the bat that Infinity War and Endgame doesn't do. It shows the after effects of what happens with the snap.
Yeah.
They don't go into detail with the snap in the film. It's just a time skip. I like
Yes.
I like how they're going actually in depth with what's going on here. And that's
Yeah.
something that the movie should have tackled.
Yeah. If this was just one movie, which I mean, you could still make it like a 3-hour movie, and just one, and you did that. That'd be interesting.
Yeah. The recruitment issue 3 is just the entire recruitment period where they get Iron Man, Spider-Man, Wolverine. Some reason Nova shows up even though he was never there at first.
They
You
got
get Drax.
everyone.
Yeah, they got Cyclops, Cloak, Namor, Drax, Firelord, Scarlet Witch, Hulk, you name it, they have them if they're still around.
Yeah.
It literally goes to a point where not Doctor Doom, Silver Surfer and Adam Warlock, they get even to the cosmic entity route where they got Celestials, Galactus, the Watcher, Kronos, the God of Time,
Ooh.
freaking Eternity, the Living Tribunal.
Oh, they got the Living Tribunal.
The Living Tribunal's there.
All right.
They got a lot of people. He's getting the all-star lineup just ready just for Thanos. And the thing is at first, the Eternity and Living Tribunal, they dip. Kronos agrees, the Celestials hate and love. They agree to it. Quasar and Epoch, I don't know, some giant floating head guy, they agree to it. And they come to a head to where they start fighting each other. Like Iron Man and Doctor Doom almost start to argue with one another while they're waiting for the plan to happen. Because
Yeah.
Iron Man instantly figures out why Doom's on their side.
Right.
But that happens. It's a big recruiting part. There's a cool little segment with Wolverine and Professor Hulk because he's Smart Hulk at the time, but
Okay.
it's not Mark Ruffalo Smart Hulk.
Yeah, I'm sure this Smart Hulk is actually cool.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
They have a little segment with one another on the roof, like, oh, me and you, we've been through it over the years, and I kind of have a little bit of respect for you. There's
Yeah.
also a little segment between Cloak and Spider-Man where it's like, don't worry, bro. If all these other heroes are helping you out, you can help them out too. Like, you don't got to be scared about it. And it's
Yeah.
a little cute little heart-to-heart moment between the two.
That's
Even
cool.
even Spider-Man, who even though he talks like some confidence in the cloak, there's still, of course, a thought in the back of his mind where it's like, am I really cut out for this?
Yeah.
If we're getting someone for cosmic heroes, there's a literal line where he says, we're about to go into the fight of our lives to where we don't know if any of us will make it out till tomorrow, you know?
Yeah.
And I love that dynamic. I love how
Yes.
everyone feels like they have no other choice but to fight, but at the same time, there's always a looming threat of, are we going to make it out?
Right.
That's the real question.
That's very good. Yeah.
The writing in these books so far are really good.
Mm-hmm.
Of course,
I
the
d-
art. Go
Go
ahead.
ahead. Sorry.
I was about to say the art style is just phenomenal as ever, which is also a reason why I love it.
Mm-hmm. I love that you mentioned like how they feel about it because in Endgame I didn't feel like they really did that.
Mm-mm.
Like they said, it's the fight of their lives, but like you didn't feel it. There wasn't much to it.
The stakes didn't really feel like they were there,
Yeah,
and they, if anything, it kind of felt like they only wanted to fight Thanos out of revenge, rather than being
pretty
like,
much.
we have to set things right, or we're not going to make it back out of this.
Yeah, I guess. Well, they still thought he had the stone, which I don't know if this is a comic thing where he can destroy the stones using the stones. I thought that was a little contrived when I
That was a
watched it.
cop out to me.
Yeah. If anything, they should have fought Thanos in space.
Yeah.
But yeah. So is that all you've read so far? As far as,
Well,
or is there more to it?
there's a little bit more to it. Taraxia, you know, the woman that he makes to make Lady Death jealous. He gets created. A whole panel ensues of like every hero coming together around Adam Warlock. They're ready. They're getting geared up. I love this. There's this moment where you have everyone looking around, and there's some guy that's like on you. I guess who was with Adam Warlock, like some imp guy. I don't know his name or anything. He's
Yeah.
like, on your mark, you show the heroes. Get
Yeah.
ready. You show worried faces. You show Wanda who's worried. Get set. You see determined faces. You see Wolverine pop out the claws.
Yeah.
Then he says go, and everyone jumps in. And
Yes.
then the next shot is just all the heroes around Thanos. And Thanos is on the top of the monument of Lady Death, just arms folded, like he's ready for the fight.
Yeah.
I love that because it's just like there's a hint of desperation,
Yes.
yet they're also ready to like, let's pretty much kick his ass.
Yes.
And
I love
Thanos is just like, come on with it. I love it. I
That's
love it.
awesome. That stuff like that's just great.
Yeah. You have all of everyone fighting. Mephisto, I guess, just ducks out of it.
Yeah.
Taraxia just stands there, I guess. So does Nebula. She watches on. But everyone's just gunning for Thanos.
Right.
Everyone, one by one. You have Thor fighting him. Hulk and Drax team up against them. Got
Oh,
Namor and She-Hulk trading blows with them.
that's
Doctor
awesome.
Doctor Doom trying to go after the gauntlet. I think Thor knocks him away from it. And then you have Thanos with the aura like a Super Saiyan. You got guys like Fire Lord coming after him, Wolverine pouncing on him. It's
Mm,
just one giant fight. Something
yes.
like it's such a good fight, like literally the comics can
Yeah.
only pull off. And then here you got the captain.
Oh,
Just you have the captain himself ready to just he's ready to just do the final stand pretty much. And as Cloak captures Thanos and he breaks free, Captain America is just looking at him distraught as all the heroes around him get like blown back by Thanos and his aura. Drax starts fighting back on him.
hmm
Lady Death is and Eros is looking at him. the Thor, which by the way isn't Thor Odinson. I think it's some other Thor. Because as soon as the hammer gets like out of his hands, he starts to like choke on like the fact because he can't breathe in space.
Mm.
But he gets the hammer back. Spider-Man comes in with the freaking web kick, and
Yeah.
he calls Traxia. In the panel he says, "I'll take care of the bimbo." He's like, "I Spider-Man."
Okay. You
You
don't
had
be
that.
like
He had the Bully Maguire in him, even in the '90s. I respect it.
that. That symbiote from Secret Wars never really left.
Nope. You have Thor, then all of a sudden Thor gets frozen. Thor gets frozen, Cap looks on. Nova somehow just pops up out of nowhere,
Right.
which I don't know why he didn't do anything. He gets turned into literal Legos.
Oh,
Yeah.
like the block. Okay.
Like a child's toy blocks, Thanos says, and
Oh.
just stomps on them. Thor, as he's turned, gets shattered into millions of pieces.
Mm.
And then Quasar comes up from right behind him, and he's ready to duke out with Thanos. Then his hands get obliterated by Thanos' eyes.
Oh, gosh.
So, and in the panel, all you see is Wolverine, Iron Man down for the count, Traxia, Spider-Man, Cyclops. Everyone's just obliterated. I think Vision has a hole in his chest.
Oh.
Then you have the Captain
Of America.
You have the Captain, and he's standing there. He's like, "It's not over until the fat lady sings, Thanos." And as he says that, he's walking towards Thanos like he did in Endgame. He don't care. I love. That's the one thing I love about Captain America.
Yes.
Even if it's one versus all, he gon' fight.
Yes.
And he doesn't even care either. He's really willing to fight Thanos. And they actually go for it. They start trading blows. Then all of a sudden, like Thanos, I guess he uses the gauntlet to grab Cap by his legs. And then here's what happens. You ready for this?
Okay.
The shield shatters with one punch.
Mm.
He breaks the shield.
Yeah.
And Cap, regardless, is still willing to fight him. But that's when Adam Warlock and Silver Surfer start to jump in, and they basically just like, enough's enough.
Yeah.
But not before Thanos pimp hands Cap in the face.
Already, I can see similarities to the movies.
Yeah. And then you have the final thing, which I haven't read yet. Astral Con. If I can find it. When you look at it, hold on. It's at the end of the book, at the end of the chapter, where you see everyone. You see Mephisto looking at them, Thanos and Taraxia looking at them. It's every cosmic entity Adam Warlock summoned, from Galactus to everyone. Damn. And they're just like, Thanos is ready, and everyone's like, you in for it now, pretty much.
Yes.
And that's where I close off because I haven't read the rest. I'm just like, dang.
Wow.
This book is something else, and I love it. I'm just a sucker for those big events like that because a well-written event could go a long way, and that really is showing it.
Mm-hmm. So, out of 10, 1 out of 10, what would you give it so far?
So far, I give it a solid 8.5 to a 9.
Very nice. So better than the movies.
characterization of Thanos, I say, is better than the films.
Better
But
than better in the films or than the films?
in the films, I
Oh,
mean,
okay.
characterization of Thanos in the films are better than the comic. But when it comes to stakes and actually like showing the aftermath and like the grievance Thanos has caused
Mm,
when it comes to the comics as opposed to the film, far exceeds them both.
right. I think
Like,
yeah, the motivations for Thanos in the movies, which I still don't entirely understand,
hmm
still gives you a reason to kind of root for him.
yeah,
Like you want to see the outcome, but also it's like you need to be stopped as well. But like it gives him a lot more character there instead of making him a simp and just a jobber with a
yeah,
big, with a powerful gauntlet.
yeah.
But I'm sorry, what were you were fixing to say something?
No, I was just gonna say like they do really. It's a really well written story. The narrative's there, and I genuinely see why Thanos is seen as the threat that he is. In my opinion, I think he's a bigger and better threat in the book as opposed to the film. Because even though in the film he has a good character arc and everything, he doesn't really feel like the Mad Titan,
Right.
like he's named. In this book, you see why he's called the Mad Titan,
Yeah.
and it's really good. And you also get to see the extent of what he can do with the gauntlet, as
Right.
opposed to just a few beams moving a moon and just doing a snap.
Right. It's always tough, like even just in both mediums, comics and movies, where it's like how much do you use the stone for to have a
hmm
good fight? I always That's something that I think about.
Yeah. I know they kind of use it quite well, at least the reality stone in the movies quite well though.
Hmm.
But everything else just doesn't really feel infinite. It doesn't really feel that impactful. Whereas in the books, it feels genuinely impactful.
Yeah. Right. Imagine all the buildup you'd have to love these characters with, right? Like
Yeah,
especially if you didn't grow up with, like if you were born at the time this comic was made, or like when you were 10 years old or whatever, and then you
yeah.
go back and read or look at all these other people. I guess you don't really need to, but
I mean, you don't need to, but it's also a good thought to like think about, especially at a time when there were no cinematic universes
good old
to
days.
really just make it easy on people.
Yeah.
The only universes you had were the cartoons, and even then, some of them didn't really do what these books did.
Right.
And I think that's pretty cool as well. That's a pretty cool sentiment as well when it
Yeah.
comes to
Yeah.
comics. Yes, that's why I like them so much.
Yeah. I get that too.
Just some of they just tell better, well, not better, but sometimes they just tell stories that movies and TV cannot do.
Yeah, that is true.
Now, even though we have a review, I don't know if I plan on making. I don't want to make 2 hours, but
Yes. Yeah.
I guess we can just talk about like what's our favorite books.
I guess so. Yeah. Um, I'll have to go over to my shelf real quick and just take a peek real quick and see all the books that I remember
All
to an
right,
extent. 1 second.
all right. Well, while I do the same, I should be right back.
Okay. 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 Definitely this one. Um, this one. Yeah, I'll do this one. I think that is it for right now. Actually, Okay, so I got at least some graphic novels.
Mm-hmm.
What about you? You got yours?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thankfully, I got a drawer full.
Good. Okay, so I think I'll share I'll just turn on my camera for this one. So, the ones that I thoroughly remember and enjoyed, I will definitely, this might be my top one. Ultimate Spider-Man, Volume 1. This was a very good origin story for Peter Parker. The same one, but the way it's told is really good.
Oop. I'm trying to show you.
It's my time to shine on it. No, I'm joking.
I'm trying to show just you. Hold on.
It's cool.
I think yeah, there it is.
There we go. Okay, so Ultimate Spider-Man, New 52 Justice League Volume 1. I heard people say New 52 is not that good, but I genuinely do like this comic or this novel. And finally, Batman Year One. It focuses on Jim Gordon more than Batman, I will say, but it's pretty cool. Just probably because I like the Batman so much, and it's loosely based off of that. So that'll be my picks.
Right.
I'm sure I'll have favorites later, but right now,
I guess when it comes to mine, if I can find, well, I got all of them, but just pulling them all out. I'm only pulling out issues 1 though so far. I guess when it comes down to it, all the ones that I genuinely like, if I can share my screen, doing everything at once right now.
yeah.
For my top 5, it would be, of course, all right.
Absolutely, positively.
Yes. Honestly, in no particular order, mine would be the Infinity Gauntlet story.
Obviously.
In my opinion, one of the best runs for the X-Men ever, that being Astonishing X-Men.
Yes.
If, for those who really don't like Joss Whedon, just know he did a really good, phenomenal job with John Cassaday on X-Men. And another X-Men related one that I genuinely like as well, Wolverine, Enemy of the State, which, if you haven't read it, don't worry. Let's just say it's if you like Deadpool kills Marvel Universe, you would love this story.
Sick.
Of course, the old school Ultimates, because I just love the Ultimate storyline.
Yeah.
And I already said it. I don't mind saying it again. AVX.
Yeah.
Because Avengers vs. X-Men is just that good to me.
Yeah. I need to read that. We should both read a comic and then talk about that same comic.
Yeah. Give our own different view on it.
Yeah.
But, just like all good things, it must come to an end. I will say, this was a pretty decent episode.
Yeah.
Would you, of course, want to come back? You're always welcome to.
Oh, appreciate it. I definitely will.
Cool. And without further ado, we bid you all good night. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment, share with people, share with anyone you know. Turn on notifications. And, like I said before, if you have a comic book for us to review or for me to review, whether it's Marvel, DC, Image, whatever, long as it's, of course, appropriate.
Yeah, of course.
Of course, as long as it's appropriate.
Please.
Because I don't mind the boys, but don't expect me to show anything either, you know?
I'm good.
Invincible,
But
sure, yeah.
Invincible, yes.
Yeah.
But like I was saying, if you want us to read, or you just want to reach out, say hey, or whatever, give us anything to read. We'll do so, and we'll review it and give our thoughts and comments on it.
Yeah.
But with that being said, Happy New Year, and
Yes.
have a good night.
Good night.